two things. One, give Nigeria electricity. Two, solve the insecurity that is ravaging the country. No matter what you do, no matter how you do it, as long as these two issues are not solved, you will continue to think you can palliate people, be giving them palliative for the rest of their lives. If you think that is what you have come to do as a government, then you need to think again. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're watching from. I hope this video meets you well. It's another beautiful day, and as usual, it's always about Nigeria, nothing else. It's just like you having a son or a daughter who is going astray. You just don't give up on that son or daughter. You have to keep on doing the best you can until that son or daughter falls back in line. Especially if you know that they've got potential. So Nigeria is a country with potential all over. But unfortunately, we have fell into the hands of leaders who all they care about is themselves and their families and cronies. I was listening to the health minister a couple of days ago, and he was talking about the policy that the current government, the Tinubu administration, is bringing out about how to encourage our doctors from running away from the country, and the ones that are present, how to stop them from going. Obviously, he made it very clear we cannot stop people from going out, but they want to do or have a policy in which they are going to improve the lives of the ones back home so that they don't think about leaving the country. But unfortunately, he was talking about all these sweet, nice, glossy, polished policies. And this is the one big problem that we have with Nigerian government. All they ever have is policies, but they never bring them to fruition. And he was talking about how they will build so many hospitals, how they will bring in infrastructures that has to do with nurses, how they are going to improve these nurses by education, and so many good things. But unfortunately, we have had this for too long. For many, many years, we have had this, but it never comes to fruition. So all these things about what do you call it? All these things about nice and polished policies, they are not helping Nigerians. And that is where these governments are getting it wrong. Remember in the last administration of Muhammadu Buhari, you remember we had, what's the name of this minister, the current minister for aviation, Festus Keyamo, and they were all polished about how they are going to make sure that there's 20,000 jobs for every local government in Nigeria, the 774 local government. And at that time, people were even arguing about how can you give Nigerians jobs that are going to be temporary. People are talking about permanent jobs. But the question is, that 774 local government, 20,000 per local government, or whatever they said at that time, did it come to fruition? No. Did anybody hold Keyamo to his word? No. Did Keyamo become another minister? Yes. And this is the kind of Nigeria we are in. People are elevated for poor performance. The same thing Buhari said when he came in. We will have 10 million Nigerians. 10 million Nigerians will have a job in the first either 4 years or 8 years or something like that. I can't remember. But did that happen? No, it didn't happen. So this is the problem we are having. You have a situation where you have governments, and every day all they think about is polishing policies that are not working for the Nigerian people. It's just currently someone was saying on the news that Nigerian inflation has dropped 3 months ago from 40% to 33%.
A closer look would make one worry to the extent that it has gone down, but we haven't seen what we did to make it go down. That is where when you're rational about things. So let's not be rational. Because if we get rational about this, we're going to worry because we cannot pinpoint. A good example for people to understand what I mean is this. If you want to emulate or record a model, you must be able to see what was wrong, what was done, and how they got it right. Back to America, we must be very careful when we compare these things. It is true that America has had inflation, but their inflation stems from what has happened post-COVID. And it's a global thing they had to deal with. We cannot compare in knowledge and conscience the two kind of inflations.
And I think that really is the conversation, and that's what this administration hasn't done a very good job of, in my view, in communicating. Because if you focus on inflation is 33% today, 32%, 30%, 15%, whatever the percentage is, what does that mean for the lives of Nigerians and what they're able to do?
When it was at 40%, a bag of rice was 79,000 naira. If your inflation dropped by 7% and it got to 33%, normally or surely you will expect that rice that was 79,000 naira to have dropped to about maybe 63,000 naira. But unfortunately, rice has shot up to about 87,000 naira. And this government will continue to tell you that inflation have dropped, inflation have dropped. When inflation dropped, the only place the poor Nigerian people will understand that your inflation is working or all your policies are working is if the prices of things followed that same percentage and drop. But you guys, because you have never ever been involved in purchasing any of these things, so you really don't know the cost. I can bet you that for the past 20 years, I don't think Tinubu himself actually went into the petrol station to actually know exactly how much they are selling petrol. And that was why it was easy for him to come out and say subsidy is gone. Nigerians are very, very hardworking people, and they will do anything to survive as long as it's job. It is the Nigerian government and the kind of leaders that we have that are pushing Nigerians to banditry, kidnapping, and all these atrocities that Nigerians are committing all over. Nigerians does not have that kind of nature. But when you are pushed to the wall sometimes you react. Unfortunately, our Nigerian citizens, that have turned into kidnapping, that have turned into banditry, that have turned into robbery and everything. Unfortunately, they turn it on to their own fellow brother, fellow Nigerian that is going through the same hell. I wish it was the other way around. And maybe these people would have understand where we are in the country. I remember a few years back before Tinubu took over, when petrol was between 150 and 200 naira. A lot of hardworking Nigerians, you have the barbers, you have the printers, you have so many people that as a result of the failure of electricity in Nigeria, these guys work so hard, buy petrol, put it in their generator, and they still continue to manage until subsidy is gone. And this petrol jumped up to 600. Assuming it's even 600, you would have even understand. You get it at 600 today, tomorrow is 800. The next day is not even available. So Nigerian government have managed to kill small and medium-sized businesses. As a result of this, subsidy is gone. And then you get the Nigerian government on daily basis talking about they are trying to woo investment, bring investors into Nigeria. You can never bring investors into Nigeria. You are trying to stop doctors from running away from Nigeria. You are trying to bring doctors from outside into Nigeria. That is not going to happen. You know why? Because you people always get it wrong. All these shiny policies and whatever is not going to help. The one single thing are the basis. You are talking about bringing doctors in, stopping the one from going outside. There's one thing I can do. Nigeria is not all about doctors. Nigeria is not all about civil workers. You have people in their millions that are doing so many small businesses. And all you need to do is to start from the basis. What are the bases? Today, if you are as a government, forget all this shiny policy, forget about spending all this money on things that are not working. Spend all this money on electricity. If you give Nigeria electricity today, Tinubu, from the time that you said subsidy is gone, if you had provided electricity, maybe we would have understand. It's not just those people that are driving on the road with cars that are using petrol. Millions and millions and millions of people are using petrol. The welder is using petrol. The woman that is grinding pepper is using petrol. The printers are using petrol. The launderer is using petrol. The barbers are using petrol. These are people that you people in government don't even think exist. Give Nigeria electricity. Whatever it is going to take, give Nigeria electricity. And by doing that, you would have up unemployment by 30 to 40%. Just by doing that alone. By doing that, you would have stopped few doctors from leaving Nigeria. How many times have we heard of people in the process of operation in the hospital? There will be no electricity, or they take that electricity while they were in the process. And then you get nurses on a lantern, candles for an operation procedure. Do you know how many people have lost their lives as a result of that? Do you know how many people are spending thousands and thousands of naira in order to fuel their generator for their operations? If that money in a month that they use in fueling their generators, believe you me, if they save it, they will not want to relocate abroad. But ordinary Nigerian people are spending 70% of their money in order to what government should have provided for them. Two things we tell Nigerians all over the globe that Nigeria is beginning to be okay. Give them electricity and stop this killing. Secure the country, and you would have cured 40 to 50% of any government problem in Nigeria. But you keep on bringing policies. The 15 billion naira you spent in renovating Vice President's house, the amount you use on private jets, not that we don't have some on ground, though. We have some, on ground, but you still went for another one. If you put that money together, you can build a first-class hospital in Nigeria and then build residencies in that same place. Secure that hospital where the doctors will be, where the their residential areas will be, where market will be, where that same hospital will be. And then put on the table a reasonable amount of wages or salary. And see if doctors from abroad will not come back home. But the simple thing is what I've said. Two things. One, give Nigeria electricity. Two, solve the insecurity that is ravaging the country. No matter what you do, no matter how you do it, as long as these two issues are not solved, you will continue to think you can palliate people, be giving them palliative for the rest of their lives. If you think that is what you have come to do as a government, then you need to think again.